So I am currently pursuing my master's in clinical counseling psychology. I've recently got my bachelor's in theology and I'm trying to interwoven those two degrees into counseling. I am born here, but was raised in a Hispanic Latino household. Therefore, I speak Spanish and English. For my bachelor's, I started in 2019, so that was during all with the pandemic, and so I was for the year and a half I was like the house online, and then afterwards went back to school, like in person. Trying to think, mm, and I got my bachelor's last year in 2020, June of 2024. I remember, and then I didn't take any jobs because I just want to get my master's right away. God willing, I will finish by June of 2025, and that's where I get my master's. On my free time, I like to exercise, play Sudoku, journal a lot, or read sometimes journal, drink tea, and read the Bible. But also, I like to mountain bike on my free time as well. Right now, it's cold, so I'm not too much out there in the mountain biking. Yeah, I've been to my mom's country 3 times, Guatemala, and that's part of my roots. At that time, when I went to her country, I was young, and so I was very ungrateful, stubborn. But as I reflect now, I am grateful that I've been to part of my identity, my roots. I naturally flow with the youth. That's why they naturally gravitate towards me, and so I'm would like to specialize in that area, like youth and emerging adults. But eventually, like probably couples counseling and marriage. But a lot of the conversations of like anxiety and depression has to do with like low self-esteem and body image and isolation. And so I really understand like why they're expressing it, because like I can relate to some degree. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and Carl Rogers' work, person-centered therapy, specifically uh, self-actualization. I like their tenets, their core principles, because I I naturally, like, as I go to the gym or as I exercise, like in a way, a lot of thoughts, negative thoughts come about body image and as well as insecurities, and so I'm reminded of their teachings, and so like it like naturally comes to my mind, like becoming the best person of yourself, right? Self-actualization, and also a lot of existential therapy, because since I got my bachelor's in theology, there's a lot of existentialism and there's a lot of philosophy, and so it it's more about understanding like who we are, more of like impersonal, more of like why am I here? Is there a certain calling that I have? Um, yeah, a lot of that type of thinking. And so when I read the Bible, there's a lot of psychology in the Bible. Of course, it doesn't present it as like the theories and frameworks, but you can see a lot of the behavior like biblical characters express. And so I don't know, I started gravitating towards like the psyche of biblical characters and their behavior. And so since I do a lot of meditation and devotional in the morning, there's a lot of reflection. And so I reflect on myself and how I relate to them or to that particular chapter. And so it's not mostly like, like more like trying to, like the way I try to incorporate all of this psychology and theology, spiritualism, or spirituality, I should say, meditation is more of like a way of being, way of living, rather than being more of like indoctrination or telling someone what to do or do this or do that. It's more of like, I don't know, a way of being. Since I am a Hispanic American, um, I have been exposed to both worlds. And so I really like culture. I like people. I like how each person is unique and different. And since, God created each and every single one of us in his image, so it's very unique, has its distinct factors. With that being said, um, I would, as I will go into these counseling sessions, I would acknowledge my own biases and prejudices that comes naturally. Of course, I won't feed onto it, but I would, in my personal life, address them, question them, challenge them. But at the same time, if I'm talking to a client who's multiculturally, um, of course, have an interest in learning about that aspect of who they are because it's real to them. It's part of them. How would you define success? I think it's when I see change, um, where they're changing with the intent to, right? Rather than because someone is telling them, change because it's coming genuinely. Um, and as well as part of that line of thinking is, with CBT, right? Try to change their way of thinking. And so they see it more in a positive light, using, this is where the existentialism comes, using their challenges as meaningful, using their setbacks or their issues as more of like opportunities for growth. So for me, success is like they naturally flow their way of thinking like very positively, and as well as them genuinely changing themselves. They should expect from me that I'm I'm human as well. I have insecurities. I have my low self-esteem moments. I have my challenges, and so they shouldn't forget that. Even though the therapist is talking to the one who's in need and help, right? And not, in other words, what I'm trying to say, like they're doing therapy to me as well. Um, and so it's healing me as well. That's why I think definitely from what I've learned is have your own personal counselor. Um, have I have a supervisor, so of course go to my supervisor, and of course not break confidentiality where I go into detail, but rather more of like uh, a person can take only so much, and so I will do that. And also, it's my responsibility to take care of myself. So, um, for that, with that being said, I have to be consistent in my exercise and into my personal care, and so self-care. I have two books. Of course, it's going to be the Bible. Of course, not everyone's religious, but you learn a lot. You learn a lot by just reading it. Um, it's weird because it speaks to you. It doesn't talk to you about like, I don't know, it the New Testament, like the Gospels, about the about like Jesus's teachings. That's my to-go book. And also my second one is Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. That kind of fits along the lines with like Carl Rogers, like self-actualization, because it's like it helps to become the better version of you, like how a lot of chaos occurs, and then we don't address those chaoses, and there's going to be lack of order in our life. And so I think those two books I would recommend. Of course, there are other good ones, but those two I will keep like in my back of my mind. Keep an open mind. Not every therapist, counselor, or intern will be the right fit. Uh, be patient with the other person, because yeah, because I knew somebody that I knew that they had situations going and they went into counseling, but one therapist after another didn't work out. And so I always wonder, like therapy is good, but like if you're not having a good connection or a therapeutic alliance with the therapist or a good trust, like it will be difficult to open up. And so um I would tell the person, just keep an open mind, be patient with the other person. Yeah, pretty much that. That's all I gotta say.